Who doesn't like a wacky rig when you're going after bass? Well, a key component of the wacky rig is the O-ring. In my last video, I talked about using these pony holders, but there are more options that are even cheaper than a regular O-ring, and I'm going to talk about those in this video. Creating a good wacky rig requires a couple things. First, you need an O-ring or an O-ring substitute, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. And you also need, in most cases, a tool where you can slide the worm in and then roll the O-ring onto the worm. In the last video, I talked about batching a couple of these pony holders together, putting them onto a tool made out of a cut-up dry erase marker from the dollar store, and now you have an O-ring substitute. Well, in the comments in response to that video, I got a ton of great ideas for additional O-ring alternatives that are all cheaper than buying O-rings. Now, some folks said, hey, just go to Amazon and you can buy 400 of them and they're pretty inexpensive. Well, that's true, and I went out and checked the prices. It's 2019, and basically you can get an O-ring if you just divide the number into the price and disregard shipping for 2 1/4 cents each. But there are cheaper alternatives out there. Some other people said to go to some O-ring specific websites and you could get them for as low as 2 cents each. But I tried that, and quite frankly I couldn't navigate through all the complex options to find that good deal. But the great news is you don't need to do either of those things, because there are even cheaper and actually I think better options that aren't O-rings. So let's go ahead and talk about them. A couple folks recommended you get these silicone straws. Now, they're pretty stiff, and you don't need a tool to put these on. Instead, if you cut off an 1/8 section of these, and that's actually what I've already done right here, you have a perfect O-ring substitute. So if you cut off the 1/8 of an inch, you don't need the tool. It can go right on the tail of the worm, and then you can roll it up. I recommend wetting everything to make it slide a little easier. And at an 1/8 of an inch, these things are really strong. You can throw them, the fish can hit them, and they're not coming off. And I really appreciate the couple folks who suggested that idea. Now, they said you could get these at the dollar store. I haven't found them there, so I had to order them from Amazon just to try them out. And basically, when you do the math, you can get 480 O-rings out of a packet of 6, and that's about $1 1/4 per O-ring substitute. So the next idea, and I found this at Walmart, is you get these twisty balloons, and you get 20 of them, and they're really long and skinny. And if you cut off an 1/8 of a 1/4 inch section off the end, put it on the tool, you now can apply this to your worm as an O-ring substitute. It goes right on, and then you can roll it on up. And if you don't like the strength of a 1/4 inch section of this, well, then you can just make it a little bit bigger. And for these, you can get 920 O-ring substitutes, which is about 0.16 cents each. Now, the next option, which I think is really pretty cool, because who doesn't like zip ties, is, again, you go to the dollar store, and with zip ties, they go on very quickly. You cut off the excess, and now you have a very robust O-ring substitute. If I can get this hook through there, for 100 of them for $1. So they basically cost $0.01 a piece. So there's some great ideas. Now, don't forget about the original idea that got me going on this. When the dollar store has exercise bands in stock, you can cut those up pretty much just like the silicone straws and get additional O-ring substitutes out of those. So I think these are all great ideas. Of the ones I just covered, the two I like best are the silicone straw and the zip ties. You know, cutting up all these little balloons and rolling them on a tool is kind of a hassle. The silicone straw and the zip tie don't require a tool at all. they can go right onto the worm. And so for that reason, and the fact that they're so cost effective, I think those are the winners. If you guys have more ideas on how to not use an O-ring and use something else that's a lot less expensive, throw them in the comments. This is great. We need to keep checking these options out. Save money because, hey, you want to buy a hamburger and a Coke when you're coming back from the lake. Throw them in the comments. Thanks.